So now we turn our attention to the question of the day. And this does have to do with a little bit of news that dropped today about Paul Reubens of Pee-wee Herman fame. So the question is, do we really need any more Pee-wee Herman? Do we need anything to ever come out from Paul Reubens regarding Pee-wee Herman? But that question really stems from the fact that he is quietly trying to shop around some new projects, one of them called Dark, regarding Pee-wee Herman. And this was announced as he is embarking on a 20-city tour for the 35th anniversary of the release of Pee-wee Herman in theaters. But if you remember correctly, this for those that, especially for those who weren't alive, Pee-wee Herman was a childlike man who had fun and had his super duper red bicycle. And it was a very, very popular kid show during the 80s and almost became as popular as Mr. Rogers. It spawned two movies. The first one being Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which was very popular, and about Pee-wee Herman embarking on a road trip to reclaim his beloved red bike. But, Paul Reubens kind of went downhill in regards to his character when he was caught in a movie theater masturbating about 29 years ago, and you can't really do that when you do a kid show. So the 67-year-old actor is, while he's promoting the 35th anniversary of this movie, is trying to have a new project regarding Pee-wee Herman. And while there was a short-lived stage kind of production and, of course, a Pee-wee Herman radio show, basically a podcast, I think it's fair to ask the question, do we really need any more Pee-wee Herman, or should it stay in the past? Is he even as relevant in this day and age? Because we're basically talking about an old guy playing a childlike human, catering to children. And in an oversensitive, politically correct world, are we going to be able to relate to Pee-wee Herman the same way we did back in the 80s when everybody seemed to be, way too innocent for their own good? He was fun back then, and I certainly enjoyed the movies. But my personal opinion, a 67-year-old man playing a childlike character in this day and age just seems kind of creepy. It kind of goes up there with boy bands getting back and doing a reunion tour 25 years later, singing the same old creepy music that they had as a boy band. But, it's worthy of discussion. I know there's, fans of my generation, that are like me, late 30s, early 40s, who grew up with Pee-wee Herman. It was fun back then. But can you do it again? Can you have, despite the nostalgia, can you bring a character like that back and have it relate to the current state of things in our world? And I don't think you can. I think Pee-wee Herman's a very 80s, very 80s form of media. You'll never be able to do it again. Okay? So, I love Paul Reubens, and he's had some great roles in movies over the years, from playing, the father of the Penguin in Batman Returns, and he was great in Blow with Johnny Depp 20 years ago. He pops up in movies here and there. And especially, I love him as the Spleen in Mystery Men. But I think it's time to let this character die and just remember it as something great from the 80s. You might be able to introduce it to your children, for people our age. But I don't know if it would, honestly, I just don't see it relating to a current generation. Unless it's parents introducing their kids to something that they loved in the 80s. It's not like the Goonies, which transcends decades and we can still relate to, and people still love the soundtrack, 35 years later. So, good luck to Paul Reubens, but again, we have to ask that question. Do we really need Pee-wee Herman anymore? So, we'd love to hear from you. You can tweet us out at That Nerd Show on Twitter and discuss with us on social media. I'm Marcus Blake, and this has been your Daily Nerd News. Until the next time, goodbye.